committee. You guys have been doing a great job of watching some of the powerful speakers you guys have had on the roster. I was able to attend some of the meetings. I appreciate you. Rob, Dustin, and the committee. I appreciate you for allowing me the chance to participate in my own recovery tonight. Allow me to give back in service in a small way, if I can, to the program that has given me everything that means anything in my life tonight. As a result of this program, I get to live a life filled with a deep sense of meaning and purpose, man. And that is something that's juicy, So I get excited when I want to talk about it, my dry date, I was separated from alcohol on January the 4th of 2012. My sponsor is Butch M. from Barrie. That's a little bit north of Toronto for people outside of Canada. I want to make sure that I let you guys know. Since then, I've been right in the middle of the circle and triangle, living a beautiful life with a lot of mistakes. My entire recovery is peppered by resurgence to ego and fumbling and stumbling and brokenness. I'm not an expert. I'm not here to teach anybody anything. All I'm here to do is share with you that experience of brokenness. Because what I have learned is that sometimes what this ego, the isms of alcoholism have done with me in recovery is make me fall asleep to the lie that this is a path of perfection. It is not. It is a path of progress. And in fact, it is only through the cracks in the armor and this brokenness that God gets to shine through, that I get to be useful. Because in fact, it was your brokenness when you shared it with me humbly and how you apply spiritual steps to it that inspired me to get to seek a better life. So we have such a beautiful program that I get to be broken, warped, bent, out of shape in 500 different ways from here to the moon and still live a beautiful life. That's how beautiful this program is. And one of the ways that this brokenness, this resurgence to ego appeared in my recovery that I need to share with you guys is, I told you I was separated from alcohol in 2012, January the 4th. In early September 2016, my wife had minor surgery. She's an alcoholic like me. She's sober a little bit longer. The doctor sent her with some painkillers home. She gave them to me to hold. And around that time, to administer to her, around that time, the ego was rebuilding, and I was attached to finances and attached to speaking arrangements and engagements, attached to sponsees, just attached. I had no idea. And what I have found, what teachers have taught me is that this disease knows your secrets. If I don't share, this disease knows the secrets that I'm sweeping under the carpet, the attachments. So I guess it couldn't get me with alcohol. What it did do is that on a Tuesday night, hey, you never had a problem with pills? Take a couple of Percocets. So I took a few over a couple of nights and thank God for good sponsorship and an ounce of humility that I renewed my dry date. And I'll tell you this, the reason I share that is because I know that there's been a lot of people's experience that's one of the loopholes that the disease of alcoholism uses to take us out. I'm positive if I wasn't honest about it and came clean and let go of those sponsees and let go of the speaking engagements and just became humble in front of this power and recommitted to this work, I wouldn't be here with you guys today. And I can tell you, as a result of all the things I was holding on to, the looking good, the image, to portray, that was keeping me in bondage. As a result of that being taken away, I have been so free since then. I've been so free from me, since then. And not comparing to anyone else, but from that day to this, I've had a much deeper walk with this love and power. So I just need to share that with you in case that helps somebody. I want to make sure that I thank the old timers, the long timers, because I wasn't one of those souls that got this program right away, and that's okay. We all have different paths, and God uses everybody differently, and that's perfectly fine. I was in and out of this program for about 7 years before I woke up. For 7 years, dying in and out of this program. And it was the beautiful old timers at the shaking hands at the door with their kindness and, hey, come on in now, you have a seat, don't worry about it. Here, have some coffee, When I was in the depths of darkness, it was your light that shined through. It gave me a ray of hope that maybe it's possible for me too. I love the old timers, man. I love the old timers. I get teared up when I talk about it. I get present to where I was. So I am a believer in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the traditions in the Torah. I am a believer in this program, right? But here's Awaken Old Timers. This is what they did for me. One of these meetings I had. One of these times I was just introduced to AA, and I had spent all my OSAP money, and I was in and out of university all the time. OSAP, trying to, and then would spend it drinking the money. I had no rent money, no food in my fridge, and there was a bottle of pills and a bottle of empty vodka on the dresser. And I thought, why don't you just kill yourself? And then all of a sudden I see a meeting book. And something told me, just go to a meeting, right? So it was raining that day. I remember downtown Toronto, and I ran to a meeting. And I sat at that meeting, and I shared pretty much what I shared with you, that no food in the fridge, all the money's gone. I don't know why I keep doing this. And the Awaken Old Timers, they sat beside me. And at that point in time, they knew that I cannot handle a deep conversation about a fourth step with God. You know what they did for me? They took me grocery shopping. And then they carried those bags to my room. You live this program and these 12 steps. You practice. You were the big book that I saw long before I knew the steps. So I want to make sure I give the dues to the long timers, the old timers. I don't believe you're thanked enough. You're the backbone of Alcoholics Anonymous. The traditions tell me so. Yes, you are. So thank you for being here. I often ponder Carl Jung. For those friends that don't know a little bit about the history, one of the people that started the spark of spirituality that led to Alcoholics Anonymous was a prominent and profound psychologist, Carl Jung, one of the fathers of psychology, and he later on, him and Bill Wilson wrote letters to each other, which you can find on the internet. And Carl Jung, Bill Wilson wrote him thanking him for Roland Hazard and how he started spirituality, and which led to Alcoholics Anonymous with and Carl Jung wrote back, and I'm paraphrasing, to Bill Wilson, saying that in his experience, alcoholics of our types have always been in seeking God, except they found it in the bottle, in the spirit. And that has been true for me. That is true for me when I look back. As far back as I can remember, I had a deep yearning for sense of belonging, for love, for a sense of meaning, for purpose. Even as a little kid, I remember. In hindsight, I could see it. But I chased it in the external, and that never lasted until I found the bottle. And when I found the bottle, it was like I woke up spiritually. I had my spiritual experience when I found the bottle. My very first profound spiritual experience when I found the drink. And then I chased that in the bottle after bottle, and the bottom of bottle after bottle after bottle, after broken hearted, broken psyche, broken bank account, broken soul, tears in my mom's eyes, suicidal bottle, until the disease of alcoholism chewed me up and spit me out right in the gates of insanity and death. Just chewed me up, broken. I came to you broken. I told you that earlier. Like a broken baby. I didn't know what to do. All I did was drink at you, drink at life, drink at that. And like in hindsight, I could describe in the third dimension what happened. I got to this, I met this person and then meetings, but literally it boggles my mind. The only explanation I have is a loving hand of a powerful God that carried me and brought me to these sacred rooms. These meetings right now are sacred to me. The rooms, the churches are sacred to me. And I met some awakened spirits who introduced me to a powerful book, Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. As a result of these steps, what happened was that I tapped into a power of goodness, which literally lifted me from the scrap people life and placed me in the most beautiful life, with all the ups and downs, the most beautiful life. As a result of the steps and the traditions and the fellowship of this 3-part program on a daily basis, I get to build a relationship with God, with this God that I'm talking to you about. I get to experience this God. I get to walk in the sunlight of the spirit of this God, and I get to come over here and talk about this God, tell you about this God, tell you what God does for my life. Whether my ego is liking what's happening to me or not. Doesn't matter, irrelevant. I'll tell you about God. You know? And if the word God bothers you, if it arises an antipathy in you, if the big book talks about that, I want to reassure you and assure you that I did not come here believing anything. See, I was born in a country that a religious government took over 3 years ago, 43 years old, maybe 3-4 years before I was born. And they came and they promised the world, and when they came in power, they started to kill in the name of God, and rape in the name of God, and torture and hang some of my extended family members in the name of God. So that's the kind of God I brought into these rooms for you to deal with. And the beautiful old timers, cool as a cucumber, as I was debating with them, this God idea and your steps, didn't miss a beat. Hey, take it easy, Ali. Have a seat. Why don't you come up with your own conception of God? So I beg of you, if the word God bothers you, please come up with your own conception of God. Whether it's the soul of a loved one that's passed on, that's precious to you, or the energy of the universe, or nature, or just the path of goodness, doesn't matter, you know? Come up with your own conception of God. I was born in Iran in 1976. I was born into a family that lived at extremes. One extreme was love and happiness and joy and family parties and big extended family. Encouragement. The other extreme was is fighting and pain and terror and bleeding. Absolute fear. My father's addiction. I didn't know which father I'm going to wake up to. I didn't know which family I'm going to wake up to. As far as I can remember, as a little kid, I always used something outside in me to make me feel okay inside. For some reason, I just never fit. I don't know. I stopped debating why. It just never fit. Whether it's approval of kids on the street, approval of extended family members, my parents' love, when I got older, accolades in school, a job, a relationship or two, a car, all those shiny toys. They filled that they filled that void for me. You gave me the language, that God-sized soul. I had no idea what it was for a short period of time. And I would be left empty. Still, my mind is racing, full of fear. What do they think about me? What if I get that? I'll feel better. What if I do that? Then I'll feel satisfied. You know? In 1986, Iran and Iraq were fighting in the early 80s. In 86, they started to bomb each other's capital cities. We were in Tehran, the capital city of Iran, where we lived. And some of the first bombings that Iraq did in Tehran landed very close to our house, like a few kilometers away, radius. And when a bomb drops a few kilometers away, it's like an earthquake. You feel it. The whole house shakes. The windows break from the sounds, you know, from the vibrations. And mother's love, I'll never forget it. My poor mom, she was so afraid that she would make us sleep in the same room. You know, my sister and I had our room and they had their room. In case a bomb hits half the house, we either live together or die together. But if a bomb hits half the house, we're all dead anyways, right? Mother's love. Mother's love. I remember one of these mornings that we used to make fun of her. My dad used to make fun of her for that, you know. And she made us sleep in their room. And the next morning we woke up and in my room where my bed was, there was a big pane of glass, sharp glass, that landed exactly where my neck would have been. Hand of a loving God, eh? Powerful hand of a loving God. We stopped making fun of her after that. As a kid, I guess I was too young. My sister and I, she was like 2 or 3 years old, too young and too naive to understand the gravity of the situation. Like, you're probably going to die. But my mom wasn't. My parents weren't. She was extremely scared. She ended up in a mental hospital. My dad said, forget about this. Locked up the house, and nobody would trade in real estate. We were a middle-class family. We were okay financially. Got all the money that he could. But for the grace of a loving God, we landed in this beautiful country. And about 2 or 3 months after deciding, not everyone's journey is like that. My wife's journey wasn't like that. A lot of people have a tough time leaving war zones and stuff like that. And we landed in this beautiful country filled with kind, this has been my experience as a Canadian, with kind, open-minded, loving people like yourselves, with freedom of religion and freedom of speech, freedom of lots of opportunity. And you would have thought that would be okay, but that wasn't the case for me. See, because my father's addiction followed us here, the chaos and the hittings and the beatings followed us here. And just as important, probably just as detrimental to me, is that my alcoholic brain filled with the isms of alcoholism followed me here. Now, please understand, pre-drink, so I'm not an alcoholic yet. I have to drink before I become, but the isms of it followed me here. And what they did in my head, the sickness in my head continued to cherry pick evidence in my life why I'm not enough. You know, you don't speak a word of English, the kids make fun of you, you look different than them, they beat you up, you're not enough. Your dad is an addict, he's violent, you're not enough. And I used to blame the external for years, by the way. Please don't misunderstand if you're new or if you're newly back. None of that stuff made me an alcoholic. Obviously, anybody, especially a child that goes through trauma in life, is going to be scarred. I don't know a human being, honestly, that's not broken and scarred in some ways, right? To some degree. But especially people that go through trauma. They're going to be scarred, right? But that doesn't make me an alcoholic. See, my younger sister, who's 5 years younger than me, she pretty much experienced the same trauma in life pretty much as I did, right? Not an alcoholic, not an addict. And she tried drugs, alcohol, all kinds of stuff. Just experimented. That was enough for her. Now, obviously, a good psychologist and few motivational speakers and books and programs have done wonders for her. She's an incredible human being. I wish I would be like her. You know, I don't have to tell you how many psychologists, psychiatrists I've been to, therapists I've been to. You know? And then I would meet you beautiful people in these rooms, and the generosity that you have, the humility that you have, that you share your brokenness with me. And you would sit me down and say, that's interesting, Ali, that you had all these things happen to you as a child. But check this out. I lived a Leave It to Beaver life. Happy parents and ski trips and nobody beat anybody and just like everything. Private schools. Yet, I'm still an alcoholic. Yet, I still never felt like I fit. And alcohol treated that. Oh, internal condition. I got you. Internal condition. See, I'm an alcoholic because I like the effect produced by alcohol. The sensation is so elusive that as I said earlier, I chased it to the gates of insanity and death for about 10 years after it stopped working for me. What that looks like is this, is that I would drink and my mind is still racing. I'm still fearful. It's not working. It's not taking it away anymore. And I would destroy my life and I'll promise never to do it again. I would do it again for 10 years. That's the insanity that they're talking about in step 2. Insane. I'm going to share with you in a general way. That's what I've been taught. So I started drinking at the age of 16 and I woke up spiritually. I started drinking at the age of 16. I ended up, my world was huge with potential. Everyone always said, Ali has potential. University, sports, Ali's potential. At the end of it, my big world of potential was this small. Me in a grungy motel room in Southeast Toronto, Scarborough, with needles in my arms, bottle of vodka, and the ugliness that follows that lifestyle, wanting to die every moment of every day, just wanting not to be here. And I can tell you I didn't plan on doing that when I first started to drink. I started to drink because she said yes to a date. I started to drink because I won a tournament. I started to drink because I got a good mark in a course. After a while, I'm drinking because I failed something. I lost the tournament. She dumped me because there's a death in the family. I'm mourning. After a while, I'm drinking because I open up my eyes and it's Thursday morning. I'm drinking because it's snowing outside. I'm drinking because you didn't say hi to me the way I thought you should. Any excuse. I told you that earlier. I'm an alcoholic. No excuse is ever trivial enough for me not to kill myself with it. Face swim, I drink. I'm an alcoholic. There's no reason for it. I just am. I suffer from a terrifying illness, and every part of this disease boggles my mind and frightens me. It frightens me that I have an allergy that you guys talk about. It's an allergy, apparently, when I have an abnormal reaction to the drink. Any other allergy that I heard about? I don't have any other ones, but I have friends, peanut allergies. Literally, they ingest the peanut, and then they have a reaction, and brain and body, no more. Do not ingest. Go to the hospital. That doesn't happen with me. When I drink alcohol, the craving starts at that time. It intensifies. There's a fire in me. I get thirstier. And I chase it. I chase the drink and I keep going, go until some kind of death or destruction happens in my life. And what I don't see, because I'm looking for the death in the physical death, in the material death, what I don't see is that love is dying. What I don't see is self-respect is dying. My mom's heart's broken. My soul is dark. I don't see none of that stuff in my conceited, self-centered alcoholic being consumed in self, drowning in self. I don't see none of that stuff. Couple that mental twist couple that physical allergy with a mental twist, they call it, a mental blank spot in the big book, they say. I can't trust my brain, the one organ in my body that's supposed to categorize situations and tell me, don't do that, don't drink that. It's killed you and your life for the last 10 years. Don't do it no more. It's faulty, has a virus in it. Left to my own devices, without you guys, without this power, it will always tell me I have another drink in me. Step 1 doesn't say I can't drink. It says I will drink. I'm guaranteed to. I will always have another outing in me. I just don't know if I have another comeback in me. See, this disease took me to many suicide attempts. One of the suicide attempts that I always like to talk about, because I slashed my wrist. I took a bottle of my dad's, he was always on and off of opiates and opioids, I think Panel 3s or Percocets. Washed it down with a bottle of vodka, waiting to die. My poor mom finds me, of all people. End up in the emergency room in the hospital. They gave me some charcoal drink to drink. The next morning, they admitted me to the 9th or 10th floor of the psych ward of the Scarborough General Hospital. The psychiatrist is there the next morning, the next day. My mom is there. We're in this office, and my mom and me are crying, bawling our eyes. I promised her with every fiber of my being that I won't do this to you again. I promise you I won't. I won't break your heart no more. And I meant it. I meant it. If you would have hooked up a polygraph test to me, I would have passed it. She believed me, because I believed it. I think it was 3 days or a week later. I can't even remember. This brain, ding, 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 ding. Hey, a drink would fix that. You were going through a phase. You just need the right girlfriend, and you'll be all right. Cunning, baffling, powerful, man. Meanwhile, I'm sinking in this bitter morass of self-pity, bewilderment. Quicksand all around me, Bill Wilson talks about. The spiritual malady that you're talking about, that you taught me about, in which life hurts, figuratively and literally. Everything about life hurts. I don't know how it is that you have jobs and you pay your bills and you buy houses and cars. Like, this disease got me fast and got me early. I love the stories. I have some friends and mentors, and I love their stories. Multimillionaires that end up on the streets almost and build this. That wasn't the case for me. I was a pathetic leech in society, pathetic drunk, never built anything, never had a chance. This disease got me fast, it got me early. And I belong with you guys. That's a beautiful thing. I belong here with you guys, Incredible. Incredible. I'm confused by how you have relationships and you keep them. Like the ladies or the men in your life don't leave you. And you guys get married. And I don't understand how you laugh. It was so dark for me for so long. That's some powerful illness when it takes away laughter from you, man. This is joy right here. This is not sadness. This is joy. That I'm not there anymore. God sent many angels in my past. I haven't always been awake to them, but one of the first ones that I was awake to, he's on this call right now. Saeed 12-stepped me. My dad went to St. Catharines to expand his business, and I went to help him, and I helped him drink it to the ground, and I blamed him. So I thought, I have plans and God has plans. I thought the plan is to expand this business and all that, could make some money, and God's plan was for my dad to meet Saeed. And Saeed shared with him like beautiful alcoholics do. And we got connected. He 12-stepped me. He introduced me to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. I ended up moving back to Toronto, and I started to go to meetings there. And I fell in love with you guys. I fell in love with the camaraderie, with the joyousness. I fell in love with the fact that you thought like me, you felt like me, you drank like me, and some of you were sober and happy in life, and you were no longer like that. That you never judged me. I fell in love with you, yes. And for the first few months, I was so happy that I wasn't dying anymore. You know that feeling that like I was dying, and for whatever reason, I found a bunch of people that have the same problem as me. I can categorize this problem, and there's a solution for it. I was so happy. I was not walking on what? I was on cloud 9, they call it. And by the way, there's different opinions on this, and I'll just give you mine. There's nothing wrong with being on cloud 9. That's the grace of God, man. When one day somebody wants to kill themselves, the next day they don't, that's a beautiful thing. There's nothing wrong with being on cloud 9. The problem for me was that I thought I could keep that state of sobriety without doing any work. That's the problem. See, I came in these rooms and I start to listen to what I thought people were telling me, right? Again, what I think I heard and what I heard, it could be a universal part. Okay, what I thought people were telling me: go to 90 meetings in 90 days and shake hands and go to lots of fellowship and all that kind of stuff. And I did all of that. And after a few months, I guess my brain woke up to the tragedy of my life, and I had no solution. Why don't you drink? And I was in and out for years, going to lots of meetings, setting up chairs, fellowship, coffee. And I would come to these rooms, I was either angry at you or depressed. Why I can't get this program. I didn't know back then, but I know today why. Because I wanted something for nothing. I wanted to come with you, to come and sit beside you in the meetings, and by osmosis get what you have. How silly it is. And I use analogies, I think in pictures sometimes, and it dumbs it down for me. One of the best analogies for me to understand, because I was always in sports, is that if I want to get into physical shape, how silly would it be for me to sign up for a gym and go to this gym 90 times in 90 days and shake hands with people and clean the machines, get inspired by people that have beautiful physiques. And what did you do? Oh, that's fantastic. And then go home 90 times in 90 days. I'm not going to get in physical shape. Of course I must go to a gym, but I got to lift the weights. I got to jump at the gym. I got to do something. Like in this spiritual gym, which it is for me, Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Meetings are essential to this day. Please don't misunderstand. I'm a member of this home group. I go to as many meetings as I can, given my family and all that kind of stuff. I'm a service of my home group. I do fellowship when I can. I have a sponsor, but all those things, all those fingers point to something. They point to the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 steps, which point to a power greater than me. I am beyond human help. I love your love. I cherish your love. I seek your love. You're my tribe. But your love is not enough. See, if love was enough, my mother's love would have been enough long time ago. Now, that's a powerful love. A parent's love? I've only understood that since I became a father not too long ago, what it is to be a parent, And God sent another angel in my path, and this angel opened the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with me, and I started to be able to breathe again as we went through this book for the first time for me at that time. And what happened to me, again, another example of resurgence of ego and brokenness, right? As I was going through this work, I got to the immense process, and my ego was rebuilding at the same time. I had no idea what it was doing to me. I got the job that I liked, and I got the girlfriend that I thought I loved. And all of a sudden, we were at the immense process. I didn't make one single, I think I have 8 months sobriety. I didn't make one immense. Right? I ever so slowly stopped meeting with this sponsor, ever so slowly stopped going to meetings. This disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. What it felt like was this, is, sometimes if you're on the beach on vacation and you sit on a tube and you're close to the shore, and sometimes you just go in thought and whatever, looking at the scenery, and before you know it, you're in the middle of the ocean. That's what it felt like for me. I wasn't planning to be in the middle of the ocean in the storm. I just thought, look at what I did, everybody. Look at what I'm doing. I got a job and a girlfriend. Like I did something here. Life was going okay. My brain this time told me, hey, grab a pint, watch the fights with the guys. One drink, 3 years. One drink. Some of the most painful experiences that I've had is in those 3 years. I think 2 suicide attempts in those 3 years. Dying, wanting to come back. I've had the experience of a little bit of taste of the solution and a head full of AA and dying over there. Can't come back. Thinking I know what to do, thinking I know where to go. My body won't take me there. And my last drunk wasn't as bad as the 50 previous to that. But what happened was that I got surrendered internally. It's an internal surrender. External doesn't matter. It's an internal surrender. I was in a recovery home. I was pretty much homeless. They were going to kick me out if they found out that I went and drank for a night. I stuck back in so they don't kick me out. Dying. I got on my knees and I prayed. Something shifted in me in that moment. I don't know what happened, but before that, I just wanted to die all the time. In that moment, I no longer wanted to die. But I didn't want to live like that anymore. I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live like that anymore. And I prayed one prayer. God, whatever you are, please help me not to be like this anymore. Can you please help me? Don't underestimate the power of prayer, man. God listens to the broken soul. It's been my experience. God brought me back to this Spirit, brought me back to these rooms, and He put another teacher in my path. And this teacher opened up the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous with me, and we started to go through line by line. Literally, we followed the black on the white. That's how we did. If you said to identify with something, we would identify if I could. I started to breathe. I started to understand what it is to be an alcoholic, not just intellectually, physical allergy, mental twist, but experientially. I said, oh my God, that is me. That is me. We went through the inventory process, and for the first time in my life, I saw that every single complaint, resentment, fear, better than, less than, judgment, everything that I'm complaining about out there in my life has one common denominator. You're looking at it. I woke up. In my first round of step 6 and 7s, I woke up, man. I had a powerful God experience. And if that hasn't been yours, that's okay. Because sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. As long as we work for it. Everyone's on a personal path with this power. I woke up, man. And I guess my step 1 experience was so what's the word? Present for me, the pain of it. Thank God, that's a gift. There's a gift of surrender was there for me. That we went through the immense process in a short period of time. Which means my sponsor and my elders around me, decades of sobriety, right? I made all the approaches that I could, all the amends that I could. Lots of people I couldn't find. Lots of people told me to, don't want to see it, right? All the amends that I could. I can tell you this, with every single amends, I got a piece of my soul back. With every single amends, it's as if like I unchained my loved ones and family members and people that came in my path with the chains of alcoholism that I imprisoned them with. With every single amends, I was able to stand up a little bit taller. I got a piece of myself back. I got self-esteem back. It's incredible how selfish I was. Bill Wilson says that common sense becomes uncommon sense. 100% true. Because in my common sense out there is that I get self-esteem by building me. Go to the gym, make some money, all that kind of stuff. Right? The spiritual realm says, oh man, you get self-esteem by correcting the harms you've done others, by being of service to others in any way you can. It's like I made financial amends. I stopped being afraid of financial insecurity for the most part. And money and abundance started to come slowly. I made amends to people that have harmed, and love started to come in my life. Incredible. Incredible. I love the promise of step 10. We have entered, one of the first promises in step 10 is that we have entered the world of the Spirit. And my next function is to grow in understanding effectiveness in the realm of the Spirit. I used to think when some people used to stay old timers, or some people used to say, I stay sober one day at a time, right? I used to think, like, how are they doing it? Like, how can you just one day at a time, white knuckling? I want to kill myself one day. I can't even do 1 minute, right? But now I understand. Because I practice these principles in step 10, and I try to align my will with the will of God on a daily basis, one day at a time. I work this program one day at a time. God keeps me sober. To the best of my ability, I work this program one day at a time. The first 9 steps, all they have done for me, all they continue to do for me, as I revisit them every year, is catapult me to the realm of the Spirit. I start to practice with the disciplines of 10, little bit of prayer and meditation here and there, right? And I start to sponsor people very early on sobriety. This is just my experience. This doesn't mean everybody has to do it. Please don't misunderstand. It's just my experience. I start to sponsor people at 3.5 months sobriety. So I've gone to got all the amends that I could. My teacher, my sponsor, elders around me, I guess they knew how sick I was, how selfish I was. For in and out, for 7 years, they watched me dying. They said, you got to give this away. You're going to die. And I said, well, what are you talking about? Who wants someone with 4 months of sobriety? I surely don't. Right? And what they said to me is that, Ali, that's interesting, your way of thinking. Because if there was some kind of rule written in stone for Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob Smith that you must have 1 year before passing this message on, if they abided by that rule, there would be no Alcoholics Anonymous. They would be dead. You'd probably jump with that too. What I was told is that it's none of your business when and how to whom you pass this message on. That's not your business. Sponsees, if you have them or not. You got to pray and make yourself available. Let God do the rest. So I prayed. I prayed literally. My prayers in the mornings would be, I was so scared of drinking. My prayers would have been, God, if you see fit, would you please put a sponsee in my path so I can help him and not die? Something like that. You know? And God in his infinite mercy. Listen, he sent me in. He sent me to chair a meeting in a men's shelter in downtown Toronto. So, and I would share with these men that 3 months ago I was dying, 4 months ago I was drinking, suicide attempts, that I'm not anymore. And they would share from their brokenness, of course. And I would read 3 pages from the big book. I was sharing the meeting, right? And share from, and I would go show up every week saying the same thing. And they started to trust me. And I guess they trusted my 4 months of sobriety more than someone with 20 years. Not the validity of it. The fact that it's more tangible for them. You know what I mean? When you're newly sober, 20 years is like, what are you talking about? That's a universe, right? I guess that's how God used me. So they would ask me, can you just do whatever it is happened to you? Help us. Sure, I can. I will take you through the big book. And I was scared. And I would call my sponsor. I forgot about this call. And what happens? I don't know if any of them were sober. But you know who's sober? Me. I stayed sober. Because of the willingness to be of service. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And I get it, man. And I get, like, these days there's so many beautiful, powerful, long-term experiences that there may be no room for someone that young in sobriety to pass this message on in that way. But I prayed. And that's what God did. And in the 30s, I get that too. Like, when this program was just starting and getting its leg under it, everyone was young in sobriety. So there was a room and space. There was a space for people young in sobriety helping each other and sponsoring each other, taking each other through the steps. But see, what I'm reminded of is that this program didn't start as somebody's agenda to get other people sober. Bill Wilson tried that by all the archives and history books. For the first 6 months, I think, he was pulling people off of bar stools. Right? He didn't get anyone sober. It wasn't until 6 months later in the Mayflower Hotel in Akron, Ohio, his business deal went to dumps, and he's walking back and forth in the lobby, and he wanted to drink. And he looked at the church directory, and he found Dr. Bob Smith. He needed to save himself. That's why he helped another alcoholic. I stayed sober. And I can't tell you the joys of life as a result of sponsorship. Like the big book talks about, it's like mining a spiritual gem and giving the whole lot away. I would not survive the trials and tribulations of life if it wasn't for sponsoring people. I've been blessed to sponsor a few men. And sometimes I don't know what the assignment is. I think I'm the messenger. Sometimes they're the messenger. And this is the mirror to me. If God is everything, then everything is a messenger. Everything is a messenger. Everyone's a messenger. I got to be open to that. And I want to share something else with you in my brokenness and mistakes, and that 2 years in, I'm sponsoring a lot of people. And if you would have followed me with one of those hidden cameras, some areas of my life transformed. Oof. And some areas of my life, you would have said, that guy's still drinking with that kind of behavior. See, I would come into these rooms and I would lie to you. What I would say to you is that this relationship with God is the most important relationship in my life. And I didn't know the depths of my lie. And another messenger appeared. This messenger knew me. And I was asked to consider a couple of things. Okay, Ali, what other relationship is that important to you? Relationship with my wife? That's interesting. I want you to consider that if you gave your wife the same amount of time that you give God on a daily basis, she would divorce you. Because at 2 years in, I was still doing when I first came in, which is 30 seconds serenity prayer and shower and, prayer in the shower quickly. And then just, as I'm reversing the car, no prayer life, no meditative life. Please don't let me rock your boat. I'm just sharing my experience. See, it's been my experience and the experience of my elders that although this room is broad and roomy when I first step in, every humble 24 hours that I take a step forward, it becomes narrower and narrower and narrower in that. First of all, I can't get away with doing the things I was doing a few years ago. The little manipulations and the white lies and the gossips. I can't do it, man. Can't do it. And the other way is that I can't get away with not doing what the big book suggests. Prayer and meditation as a necessity. I built a prayer and meditative life the last few years. I spend time with this power. I wake up extra early. I spend time in prayer, meditation, spiritual readings at night. I do a little review. During the day, I'm always praying, man. Oh, I'm asking for him to take away my selfishness. Use me, please. Because left alone, devices that destroy my life. And words won't do justice. As a result of prayer and meditation and building a relationship with God, this is all this thing is about for me. Building a relationship with God and being service to his other kids. Okay? As a result of that, words won't do justice when I tell you the feelings of love and joy and serenity and peace that I have on most days. And here's the more important thing though. Okay, here's the more important. When I said depth and weight, meaning and purpose, right? I can't describe to you sufficiently when life gets tough, and it will at times, in the depths of despair sometimes in recovery, in the depths of sadness in recovery, in the depths of fear in recovery, words won't describe the knowing that it's going to be all right, man. That's a powerful program. That it's going to be all right. And it's going to be all right. You just keep doing what you're doing. And that's when my elders come and play. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep doing what you're doing. So the last few years, as I just commented on, haven't been all roses. Life's in sessions sometimes. There's been cancers and deaths in the family and business failures. I've had so much financial trouble. Just recently, God put me in a career that can help support my family. Just recently, just last year. Ever since I was a kid, I was a depressive. In and out of depression, in the work, inside help, outside help. My wife and I got separated for a while. We were almost going to get divorced. See, the beautiful thing about this program is that all those valleys in life, they brought me back to the table with God. All the pain, they brought me back to a deeper surrender in front of this power. They put me back in the work on a deeper level so I can be more useful. And I'm so grateful for the teachers that are around me. All of them have been around me, all around me, because when I go to them with my life problems, they kindly share about their experience and how they apply these principles and let God in. They listen to me. And they eventually point me to God. Some kind of assignment, some kind of inventory, some kind of prayer. They point me, talk about God. So grateful for that. I'm so grateful that when I came back this last time when I got sober, I had no more fight in me. And what I was told is that the only thing you need to know about God is that it ain't you. That this program works inside out in this order and in this way only. The spiritual malady must be remedied first, and then the physical and mental follow. It is not the other way around. I live my life backwards. And we go to the gym, get a job, get a car, dress nicely, get a girl, and then I'll feel all right. Do you know why? Because then you tell me that I'm okay. So dependent on your approval. That's not the case today, most of the time anyways, I'll drink and die like that. That's not the case today. See, I don't suffer from a drinking problem. I suffer from a drinking solution. I don't suffer from a drinking problem. I suffer from alcoholism. It's a soul sickness and it's a spiritual malady. It's deep, man. It's such a deep-rooted spiritual malady that it keeps me separate from you all the time. On my own power, I always think I'm separate from you. I always believe that I'm either better than you or less than you. The now is never enough. There's always something to go after, something to achieve, something to chase. I want to crawl out of my skin most of the time. I'm full of fear most of the time. And this delusion that I'm separate from God's other kids, from you guys, from the people out there, leads me to the biggest delusion of all. That somehow, some way, I'm separate from this power. This power is some entity out there that if I believe or don't believe, sometimes I can't. That's not the case for me today. God is closer to me than breath, and I'm present to that most of the time. And listen, sometimes, most of the time is 51%, but most of the time. Most of the time. I'm present to that. That's a beautiful thing, man. And the last few years, what I have done with a lot of mistakes, as I said, with as much willingness and humility and honesty that I could muster, was clean house, trust God, and help others, no matter what's going on in my life. Clean house, trust God. Getting a divorce, that's okay. Clean house, trust God, and help others. And I've been stepping back and watching in awe of this power work miracles in my life, man. I've been watching in awe of this power. I've been watching. I was homeless, pretty much. Jobless, penniless, carless. I have a job, I have a home, I have a career that I can help support my family. I don't look sick anymore, But those tangible stuff, those external stuff really they don't mean anything. I'm just sharing that. I always like to share that because I know when I was new, I like something tangible to hold on to. When you're new, it's okay. But I'm just telling you, it's not enough to keep me sober. Because we know a lot of wealthy people in Alcoholics Anonymous, in and out of the rooms throwing money at this thing. Can't do it, man. This disease does not care where I come from, my religious background, my sexual preference, my socioeconomic background, my education, my strength. Don't matter, man. Equal opportunity death. In fact, I don't have this disease. This disease has me. There's a big difference in that. There's a big difference in that. You know what's priceless, though? Those gifts don't mean nothing. The priceless gifts are that I sleep without sleeping pills at nights. I don't want to kill